In the far lands of Brek Zarith, in the opulent palace of the ruthless King Shardar, tension crackled like lightning before a storm. There, the king inspected the daring new prototype of the Birdman suit, a winged contraption promising the impossible dream of flight. He selected one of his loyal barons, a man he had pampered with feasts and fortunes, to test its perilous promise. The diminutive wizard, the brilliant mind behind this invention, strapped the suit onto the baron with trembling hands. Meanwhile, the other barons lurked in the background, their eyes gleaming with silent, malevolent anticipation. Shardar, cold and unyielding, ignored the baron's pleas and shoved him mercilessly off the towering cliff. As foretold, the suit failed, and the man plummeted to his doom. Without a flicker of remorse, Shardar then hurled the inventor after him, discarding him like yesterday's refuse. The king cared for no one, except a single enigmatic soul. Descending into the damp, foreboding dungeon, he sought him out. Deep in the gloom, one of Shardar's sorcerers harnessed the eerie powers of a slumbering baby boy, channeling them solely to conjure visions of the king's foes. Through the child's trance, Shardar beheld a fleet of Viking drakars slicing through the waves toward Brek Zarith, led by the ferocious Jorund the Bull. He also glimpsed his cousin, Prince Galathorn, commanding another Viking horde on the same deadly course. These forces were allied, their whispers of conspiracy binding them in a plot to siege Brek Zarith. Yet Shardar the Cunning remained eerily calm. Such threats were mere ripples in his vast sea of schemes. But then the boy stirred, and a fresh vision erupted. An unknown warrior, a stranger to Shardar and his mage, but a known to us all. Thorgal. Thorgal had denied the alliances of Jorund the Bull and Galathorn, his heart ablaze with a singular, unyielding purpose: to rescue Aaricia, his beloved. Racing through rugged terrain, his senses sharp as a blade, he caught the thunder of approaching horsemen. In a heartbeat, he concealed himself and leaped down a sheer cliff, only to land eyes upon the foreboding silhouette of Brek Zarith itself. There it loomed, a fortress of secrets and peril. As Thorgal pressed onward toward the castle's walls, Shardar and his magician escorted the boy to Aaricia's chambers. In that heart-wrenching reveal, the truth dawned. This boy was Jolin, the son of Thorgal and Aaricia. She recoiled in shock at his unnatural slumber, just as before, yearning to cradle and nurture her child. But Shardar's twisted ambitions shattered the moment. He dragged her outside, where he showed her of impending doom. Fewer than 2,000 Viking ships surging toward Brek Zarith to pillage, raze, and slay him. Yet as the invaders closed in, Shardar unleashed his diabolical ingenuity. Massive copper mirrors that harnessed the sun's fury, turning its rays into weapons of fire. Ships erupted in flames. Vikings screamed as they perished in the inferno. Shardar, the embodiment of malice, stood atop the battlements, gazing upon the carnage with a chilling grin. "Well, that's what I call a quick, cheap battle," he said. With Aaricia in tow, Shardar retreated indoors, declaring that tonight a grand feast would unfold. Scouts thundered into Brek Zarith, breathlessly reporting to the general that the shattered remnants of the Viking drakars and survivors were fleeing south. Thorgal, eavesdropping from the shadows, seized the chaos. With raw strength and a coiled rope, he scaled the impregnable walls, infiltrating the heart of the enemy. Night cloaked the land like a shroud, and under its veil Thorgal descended upon the castle like a vengeful phantom. He pounced on a guard, stripped his uniform, and concealed the body in the darkness. Venturing deeper into the labyrinthine halls, Thorgal grappled with uncertainty. He had no map to Aaricia's location. Voices echoed ahead, forcing him to duck into a shadowy chamber. But in the inky blackness, a soft voice pierced the silence. Whirling around, he froze in astonishment. It was merely a boy, Jolin, his own son, though Thorgal remained oblivious. In the grand hall, the revelry raged like a fever dream. Barons donned grotesque animal masks, twirling with vibrant, scantily clad dancers. Amid the frenzy, Shardar's magician approached the throne, his voice cutting through the din. Spies confirmed the dire news. Jorund and Galathorn's forces had merged, marching relentlessly through the night. By dawn, they would besiege Brek Zarith. Worse, a guard had been discovered unconscious. Shardar, sensing the noose tightening, whispered urgently to Aaricia that they must flee. In that same pulse-pounding instant, Thorgal bid farewell to the mysterious boy. You have a strange power, child. You look at me without fear, you don't speak, and a starn's heat comes over me, making me want to stay near you. But I have to find the woman I love. Goodbye, child. As Shardar and Aaricia slipped from the chaotic party, betrayal struck like a serpent's fang. Two barons barred their path, swords drawn and gleaming with lethal intent. There's no point calling for help, Shardar. Nobody here will save you, and your guards are on our side. When Prince Galathorn gets here tomorrow, we'll offer him your head as a sign of allegiance. But Shardar, a master of deception and cruelty, exploded into action. He fired a horn like a deadly projectile, then plunged his dagger into the other's throat. In the melee, Aaricia broke free from Shardar. Racing through the twisting corridors, her heart pounding, she collided with none other than Thorgal. After endless trials and separation, the lovers' reunion ignited like wildfire. Their embrace a storm of joy and desperation. She revealed their child, urging they retrieve him and escape as a family. But bursting into Iolen's chamber, they found it eerily vacant. Aaricia's world shattered in despair, yet Thorgal urged pragmatism. Spirit her to safety first, then return for the boy. She recoiled in fury. Never. I won't leave this palace without my child, Thorgal. With no choice, Thorgal moved to whisk her away by force, uncoiling his rope toward the window. Bam! A brutal blow felled him like a thunderclap. Forgive me, my love, but you don't understand. Perhaps you couldn't understand. Shardar, smirking triumphantly, praised Aaricia's resolve and unveiled his audacious scheme. He would surrender the kingdom to Galathorn and the Vikings without a fight. Dawn pierced the night, and Thorgal awoke to a throbbing skull. Slipping through the castle like a ghost, he spotted a guard and silenced him swiftly, only for the man to crumple lifelessly. Horror gripped Thorgal as he scoured the halls. Guards, barons, guests, all lay slain in a macabre tableau. One woman clung to life, her whispers revealing the king's poison had claimed them. Desperate, Thorgal inquired about Aaricia. The princess, where is she? Thorgal asked. So it was you, her soulmate? How lucky. She is, I would so much like to have known what it was to love. And she gives her last breath at Thorgal arms. In that grim moment, Jorund, Galathorn, and their Viking warriors stormed in, hailing Thorgal. Amid hurried explanations of the massacre, Galathorn burned to hunt Shardar, while Jorund lusted for treasure. They plunged into the vault, where Jorund's eyes widened in greedy ecstasy at the glittering hoard. "This Golo belongs to me," he bellowed. But treachery lurked. Thorgal's warning cry came too late as the chamber split asunder, swallowing Jorund and the gold in a yawning abyss. Though Thorgal hurled a rope, the Viking chief slipped away into the void. Across the chasm stood the architect of this nightmare, Shardar, gloating that his plot had beggared Galathorn. He prophesied the prince's descent into equal villainy with prolonged rule. Thorgal, ignoring the venomous words, hurled an axe to anchor a rope bridge. Shardar vanished into the shadows, but Thorgal pursued relentlessly, descending treacherous stairs into twisting tunnels until a colossal boulder sealed the path behind, trapping him in a forward march of doom. Thorgal battled horrors unimaginable. A rampaging monster, cunning traps, a colossal serpent slithering from the depths. At last, he cornered Shardar's personal magician before a forked path. Demanding the king's route, the mage lied about the right corridor, so Thorgal thrust him ahead, an arrow piercing his neck in fatal retribution. I have to find a clue, a sign, anything, Thorgal thinks. Spotting delicate strands of Aaricia's hair, he charged into the left passage, only for another barrier to slam shut. I am a prisoner, Thorgal roared in frustration. Meanwhile, on the far side, Shardar hauled Aaricia to a cliffside exit. There, he shed his royal garb for hidden rags, cackling at his disguise. There, haha, who'd be able to recognize the great Shardar in these old rags? A sad exit for a king who calls himself great, Aaricia shot back defiantly. Shardar demanded Jolin. Aaricia clutched what seemed to be the boy to her chest, refusing, then revealed it as mere wood. Stupid, pathetic female, he snarled, striking her down. Trapped in his stony prison, Thorgal despaired until a grinding stone shifted. Unveiling Jolin, the boy had miraculously carved an escape. On the cliff, Shardar dangled Aaricia by her wrists over the abyss, tormenting her for Jolin's surrender. She defied him to the end. Then Thorgal erupted onto the scene like a force of nature. Shardar whirled to confront him, but underestimated Aaricia's ferocity. She lashed out with a kick, sending him teetering, yet he clutched her in his fall. The anchoring tree groaned and splintered under the strain, but Thorgal seized the rope in a desperate lunge, hauling Aaricia to safety as Shardar plunged to his ironic demise, echoing the fate he'd inflicted on his ill-fated baron. The king who soared on wings of ambition crashed into oblivion, just like Icarus. Our heroes stood victorious. On the horizon, Thorgal, Aaricia, and Galathorn watched the Viking Drakars sail away. Galathorn pleaded for Thorgal's aid in rebuilding the realm, tempting him with wealth. But Thorgal yearned only for freedom with Aaricia and Jolin, far from avarice's grasp. "Then leave to hell with your fantasy. Farewell," Galathorn snarled in rage. And so, after years of torment and trials, our lovers reunited at last, venturing toward a haven of peace, their family whole against the world's storms.